indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Freitas. Great job. Along with that, Pastor Mark, you know, we need to keep him in prayers. He probably would have been here if not for that like that. So, okay, Mr. McKenzie, for your minutes.
Mr. President.
Hey, you get a chance to say 158.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna beat you one day.
Yeah. Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the executive session certification as well as the regular minutes as presented.
Okay, need a second.
Second.
Mr. Crouch. Okay, are there any questions? Okay, I got a motion made by Mr. Cunningham and second by Mr. Crouch. Hearing no objections or comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, 159, Teacher Appreciation Performance Grant money.
Yes, this is an item that you may or may not remember, but it's something that has to be done annually by law. And without approval of this and without the DOE approving the teacher observation evaluation instrument, without those two factors, teachers cannot get their Teacher Appreciation Grant monies. So it's very important that you approve this item. This is the first of those two steps tonight. I have talked to Mr. Elson from the president of the Teachers Association, and they're in support of this item as it's presented. There are no changes from last year. These are the minimal expectations that the legislation requires. And so I would recommend your approval as presented, and I'll take any questions you might have about it.
What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. President,
Ms. Freitas.
I move that we approve the teacher appreciation grants as presented by our superintendent.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith. Okay, there's a motion made and probably second. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carries. 160, summer school presentation.
Mrs. Winter is going to handle that this evening, so I'll refer it to her.
I believe everyone received the information in the packet. Summer school was just an unbelievably huge success. We ended up having a total of 767 students complete summer school. 85% of the elementary students that started completed it. That's pretty amazing. As you can tell though, it drops off in the weeks of July. We know that normally, but still knowing that we had 4.5 and 3, almost averaging about 4 hours a week spent on it, we still think it's worth it, allowing the students to keep that material and do it. A really highlight for the elementary this summer was they had 145 science, robotics, and art kits that were delivered to the elementary students' home. Well, they weren't delivered. The parents picked them up at the schools and had some self-directed activities with that. It was almost like Christmas in the summer, one little third grader told me. They just loved it. The elementary has just been an extraordinary success for the last 3 years. But this summer, our secondary took a huge leap, and we were extremely excited. There were 547 credit hours earned this summer. 74 of those were with our credit recovery students. We had 43% of our credit recovery students that started. I know that probably seems like a low number, but normally we're in the 18% range. I'm extremely proud of that group, even though we were at 44%. The percent of the secondary summer school that finished was 79%, and any of you who have had middle school and high school age students, that's a very good number for summer school. We broke down the credits for you this year because we wanted you to see some of the elective courses that students were taking. The cool thing about this, a lot of these courses, Spanish 2, computer science, Spanish 3, medical terminology, personal finance, and the Spanish 1, German 1, and French 1, all were taken to enhance their opportunities for early college, high school, and a career pathway. The average class grade was 88%. The pretest, we did a pretest with all the students, was 57%, and the post-test this year was 83%. In a couple months, when we present the data book, we're gonna show you the elementary students. We did not have spring NWEA scores because that was just too much stress to ask families to deliver that at home. Plus, to be honest with you, the NWA was not ready for that test to be taken at home. We think we're gonna see just tremendous growth. But the piece that we really value is that kids enjoy doing this. And we hope to, post-COVID-19 era, to be able to start offering some Saturday workshops in areas of interest for kids. So it was a great success, and I could not thank Emily Bainter and Jacob Felger and Nicole Skeens and Shannon McPherson enough for being the administrators in charge of that program this summer. The work they did on behalf of the administrators were wonderful in supporting them, but in developing the curriculum, and the teachers were just amazing this summer. It was an excellent summer. The one thing I worry about, and I said this and I want to say it in front of the board, because when you start having success in a program, you just want to grow, grow, grow. But we have to remember that we had over 38 of our faculty and staff and administrators involved this summer with little to no rest. And that is something that we have to be really strategic about with your teachers, is making sure that they do get some rest. Now, COVID-19 added a little twist to that this summer, so everyone's, what I would say, as Tabloid says, the lost summer, but they are a lot more exhausted. And as I sit here and look at one of our lead technology people, many of our administrators in technology and summer school teachers have had little to no time off this summer. So that's a tough way to be, in this type of environment. Plus, I think Spike compliments at every single board meeting, as he should, just the work they did with the families this summer in food distribution and other areas. Summer school was just a complete success, and that really has a lot to do with the quality of individuals you have working here. Any questions for me?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
This is a pretty awesome report, and just, if you look at incoming grade 1 activity menu, under salad, it says mindfulness. And I just want to commend Mississinewa, because they have constantly kept social and emotional learning a priority when it doesn't necessarily always fall as a priority in every district. Their follow through is really phenomenal with that, and just their dedication to that. So it's great that the academic piece is there, but how great is it to see that also on the summer school piece? I just think, given COVID and everything that's going on, that's such a need. It's a need anyway, regardless of pandemic, but I just wanted to acknowledge that their dedication to that is really like no other, so.
That's great.
Thank you, Mrs. Winter, for that report.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, 161, position to advertise public hearing.
Mrs. Townsend, I'll refer it to Mrs. Townsend on that.
Thank you. The public hearing is scheduled for September 14th. So prior to September 4th, I need to advertise for that public hearing. The capital projects and the bus replacement will be on the corporation website, and the rest will be on Gateway. And the only requirement for the newspaper now is just to direct people to those two places. So I'm asking permission tonight to fulfill the recommendations of advertising.
Okay. Need a motion?
Mr. President,
Let's try again.
I make a motion to approve the advertising of the budget as presented.
Okay. Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions or comments from, we've been through this enough. So, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign, motion carries. Okay. 162, personnel, Mr. McKenzie.
Yes, you can see that we're getting some days under our belt because the list on personnel is getting a little smaller, it's starting to shrink, and as it should, as we would hope it would. But we have the following personnel items for your consideration this evening. Ron Thien to be hired as the junior varsity volleyball coach at the high school, effective immediately. Emily Oak to be hired as the assistant boys tennis coach at the high school, effective immediately. Corey Shields and Bethany Kirkwood to be hired as volunteer cross-country coaches at the high school, effective immediately. Shelley Smith to be hired as the 8th grade volleyball coach, effective immediately. Brittany Jacks to be hired as the 7th grade volleyball coach, effective immediately. And finally, Pat Pearson to be hired as the head wrestling coach at the high school, effective immediately. And we would recommend approval of these personnel items as presented this evening.
Mr. Board's pleasure.
Mr. President,
Mr. Herrera.
I make a motion to approve personnel as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Herrera, seconded by Mrs. Miller. Are there any questions or comments? One, I'm glad to see Pat. He's got a passion for that thing, and I think that's the kind of people we need. That's a kind of an odd sport to be involved with, and you really got to get it started even down in the grade schools. And so I think hopefully that's going to be a great thing. He wants to do it, and that's what we're going to take. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Put me down as abstaining.
Abstain? Okay. Did you catch that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Question is, did Mrs. Wilson catch it? But we'll get it.
Okay, 163, facility report.
Yes, I'll refer to Mr. Gosser. Is there anything you have for the board this evening?
Yeah, over the weekend, we had some seal coating take place here at the ad building and middle school. Next weekend, they're gonna seal coat the high school north lot. So west view's done and striped, north view's done and striped, and so is the middle school is done and striped. So only 2 buildings we have left is here, and tomorrow night they're gonna stripe this parking lot. Then next weekend they'll seal coat the north lot at the high school, and hopefully get it striped Sunday.
Anybody got any
Great.
comment?
I had a question on the water coolers. Did you get those kits in
The
yet?
kits are in, but the problem we had was what it is the cooler itself, the top part of the cooler, water cooler comes off, then this kit sits on there.
Uh-huh.
When they did that, when they started hooking the water lines up, there was a bad connection where the compressor is, where the water goes to the evaporator, and they couldn't get it to stop leaking. So now there's so much of a demand, so we're kind of set back on that.
Okay.
But we do have jugs of water in the hallways.
Okay.
Now, they are operational at the high school
Mm-hmm.
with those no-touch water dispensers, and 2 of the 3 at the middle school are operational.
Okay.
It's basically the elementary where
Okay.
we've had to bring in the jugs of water
Okay.
to operate with that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
hopefully in the next month or 2 that
Okay.
we'll get those all.
Yeah, I just was wondering where we were
Operational.
at with them. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, move on then. Legislative, Mr. Cunningham.
That's all right. Mr. McKenzie knows as much about it probably as what I
I
do.
doubt that.
So the big news, which Jill talked about a little bit, Tab talked about it a little bit, was Senator Ron Bray on the 11th sent notice to other legislators that school systems that were operating on e-learning only were only going to be entitled to 85% of the ADM funds that were available. And so you can imagine the roar and consternation that happened when people heard that were doing only online learning. So particularly after the governor had promised full funding for kindergarten, or for full funding for school corporations. So there was a lot of discussion. They asked us to contact our local legislators, which I did on our behalf. And lo and behold, about 3 or 4 days later, we got another notice from the governor that he's going to recommend that they push back the ADM count so that we can maintain the funding, which would then give time for a legislative session to happen so that they can change that. It's actually in legislation that it says that it's only the 85% that you can. So, I mean, Senator Bray's bringing it up. I mean, they're both from the same party, but it's so, he's just saying, hey, we can't, he's also chairman of the Ways and Means. So he's always got to look at that stuff. So the way it looks right now is they're going to look at, which I think Tab alluded to, push it back the ADM count. And by doing so, that gives them time to make the adjustment, meet, and take legislative action. There's a lot of support to do it that way, particularly since the governor promised it. So it looks like that will be averted. Again, I just hope we don't get drawn into the budget shortfall and this coming into play as well. But it looks right now that's what they're going to end up doing, and the ISBA is supportive of that. So according to the last email update, which was that I got on the 13th, 13th from Annie Vermillion, is that they're gonna push that back. So, and she told me she would communicate with us, and she's been very responsive. So, I mean, as much or even more is what Kevin has been. So, it's good to have her. That's all I have, sir.
Great. Anybody got any questions? Okay. Item 165, corporate sponsored donations and grants.
Yes, we have one donation for the board to consider this evening, and it's from the Gas City alumni to the High School Student Council in the amount of $281, and we would recommend approval of this donation as presented this evening.
What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. President,
Mr. Smith?
I move to approve the donation as presented.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, Mr. Comment first.
Yes.
That's family feud. Okay, I've got a motion made by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Herrera. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, claims, Ms. Townsend.
So I'm recommending that we pay the claims that total $850,705.54.
Did a good job, Mr. Okay, what's the motion?
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Miller, okay. Okay, are there any questions? Comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence, 167, correspondence and other business.
Yes, just a couple things this evening. Just a quick reminder that we do have an executive session following this meeting. May want to take a few minute break after the meeting's all over. And because of Labor Day coming up, the next board meeting will be September 14th. And then we will have another board meeting in September the following week on September 21st. And I just wanted to quickly mention, because I think it's so awesome, that we just received notice today that Mississinewa has the first early college high school in Grant County. And that's just a tremendous honor. And I can't say enough on how much we appreciate Mrs. Winter's leadership in spearheading that over the last 4 years to get that done. And we also appreciate very much Mr. Quaterher and his high school team in facilitating this accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment, and all of us need to be very proud of what's been achieved. And I can't say enough for Mrs. Winter and getting this done, and the high school team. So that's all I have this evening.
And Amanda, is she, or is she not?
She had it all perfect.
Yes, yeah, and I don't know if we've had that before.
And given the circumstances that we've had to operate.
And all they did all summer.
Right,
long.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Board of Health recently done inspections of all our cafeterias at all 4 buildings, and I think that's the first time we've had a perfect score across the board. And so, you know, it's just a big tribute to Mrs. Warwick. She's done a great job.
Are our kids getting, like box lunches, or are they having regular hot lunches, or?
You mean during the day, when they're in
Yes.
person? They're getting regular lunches.
Okay.
Regular opportunities. I didn't know if you meant the pickup on Wednesdays. It's similar.
No, I mean, it's
Yeah.
regular school. If they-
Yeah. She had about close to 90 on the virtual that picked up Wednesday, and so,
Boy, that's a big job.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mrs. Winter, you have anything?
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep a running sheet for you to see what our teachers are being trained in and what they're doing. As you can see, not only with summer school, we had over 100 teachers go to training this summer. Most of them virtually, a few of them in person. But I just think that's another thing the board needs to know about our staff, just how committed they are to improving themselves. And I feel bad because we did have someone attend training at Family Services, and I forgot to put this down. I see Susan.
Here.
So that will be on next month.
Anybody else from the board? Anybody from? You know, when times are good, and you have a good staff, but when times are bad, and we get all these acting points, like with Amanda. If this was a bad report, we'd be hearing about it forever, you know? She did this, and it'll just bounce through the thing, nobody really catch on outside of what, the ones that got the message. But, you know, our staff has stepped up, and, you know, just the things that come through there, and they seem to be right on top of it. And it's a good leadership, and a good sense of let's get it done kind of people, so it's a great team to be in charge of, and you guys have done a fantastic job. Take that back to all of them, from the cooks to the janitorial, everybody's doing it.
And I think all of them are online right now, and it's so hard to take to heart the one negative letter you get, or the negative post, or the negative comment. But if anyone is watching this tonight and seeing the commitment to excellence that our staff and administrators and students have, you let that roll right off your back. Those few negative things that are said, because you're doing an extraordinary job.
I don't mean to make them think they have to say anything, but do any of our administrators have anything they want to add?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I forgot to.
They're in there somewhere,
So,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
in that dark pit.
Well, that's right, our new principal, are they all on there?
Yeah.
Can they see us, or they just, is
Well,
it
and
just
Pat
here?
Pearson is watching
We
too.
can see
They
you.
know how to log
Okay.
in.
Oh, there's Amanda.
And, how's things going at your school?
You know, we are riding a roller coaster of highs and lows at Northview, and we are all still standing and still smiling. I'm really, really, really proud of our staff and our students. We have banded together, and the students are as positive and resilient as ever. The staff, same. You know, they have taken some hits and came back up stronger than they were. So we are doing really well at Northview Elementary. So thank you, everyone, for your support.
As you can imagine, she had a busy morning this morning, given Sunday night's broadcast.
And we
But she did a
appreciate
great
what
job.
We appreciate what you do. I mean, we all do, and I hope that gets passed down to you. We're amazed at what you guys have accomplished. And pass it on to your staff. Who's next on the list? Mr. Quater, I see you coming. Is he up there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
these
You know,
are, they're all
We've
here.
had a really good start at the high school. Again, just like Amanda, I'm very impressed and proud of our students and their effort. They have been thrown a new set of policies and procedures, and they're doing a great job. The teachers have been great. I commented today at lunch, you know, there was not one piece of trash on the floor in the cafeteria. And if you've ever been in a high school cafeteria, when we moved about 600 kids through there, for there to be no trash is pretty impressive. So our kids are really buying into the work that we're trying to get from them. So we're really proud. It's been a great start.
Mr. Quadrer, how's the block scheduling working?
Well, I love it because the hallways are quiet for an hour and a half at a time. I get some work done. Again, like we talked about when we implemented it, there are pros and cons to a block schedule. But I really think that our students and staff are adjusting and making the best out of the situation. And really are gonna find, as we continue to talk for professional development in teaching in a block, they're gonna find different ways to utilize that time better each and every week. So it's going great. The kids have adjusted well, and so have the adults. And as you know, sometimes the adults are harder to convince than the kids, but all in all, it's been a really good start.
You know, it probably depends on what teacher you ask. People that have a lot of hands-on activities, or like your fine arts and those kind of circumstances, they probably really like it. For some academic teachers, it's an adjustment to planning for 50 minutes to 90 minutes or 45 minutes. You know, that's a big change, especially if you've been doing it one way for a long time. But Mr. Quadrer, I'm impressed with your lighting that you have, and you're going to have to show me how to do that, because you look the best I've seen you for a long time. And I need that help. I really do. So.
Just in a dark room.
Yes, yes. That's where I need to be, in the dark. A lot of people think I am all the time. So. Yeah. Mr. Resch, you have any comments?
No, just piggyback off what Mrs. Varner and Mr. Q said. We're off to a great start at the middle school. Being my first year in the building, I never really had anything to go off of, but I was kind of surprised during passing periods. You can't even really tell that those 150 kids aren't there. So it's my first time in the building. Trying to keep people physically distanced in that one stairwell is tough, but our kids are doing a great job. Very few, arguments and reminders about putting the masks on, so I'm proud of those middle school students.
Great job. Great. And
Carrie?
Miss Wardinger.
Mrs. Wardinger.
My thing is to call you Burchett, okay?
Yeah.
He used to swim in my pool, so I don't know.
He'll tell everything he knows.
No, I Go ahead.
Hey, things are off to a great start at Westview Elementary. It's like I never left. It's been exciting to be back home. The kids are doing great. Our procedures are going great. Not a lot of criers. I think that has been a big plus by not having parents come in the building, by greeting them. I'm the first face they see and the last face they see when they leave. So I think right now I'm working on building connections with those little ones. I mean, we're little at Westview, so I'm very, very proud of our staff, students and the families. It's just been a great start, so thank you.
Yeah, I shouldn't put her on the spot. I should have asked her this in private before I brought it up, but I can't help myself, Mrs. Wardinger, I'm sorry. But we had a big change because of COVID-19. In the past, culturally, we've allowed all the kindergarten parents, preschool parents come in the building the first week or two and kind of help with, they think they're helping, they're probably making it harder, but they, to transition from home to being in school without their parents. And so we kind of shut those doors and kept those parents out this year. How have they responded to that? How have they handled it?
I've tried to put myself in the parents' shoes. How would I put them at ease? So one of the things that we did is that we had lanyards created with the child's name, the teacher's name, and the teacher's picture. So we really tried to make that connection. I think that helped the parents be able to see that we went that extra mile. I think having that, but also having their child's teacher's picture at their lunch table, even where they eat breakfast. So everything's very intentional. I think the parents have been really seeing us go that extra mile, and that's definitely been evident. It's just been a very warm, welcome greeting to be back home. So it's been going very well, thank you.
I would not have thrown that question at you had I had any doubt that you would hit it out of the park.
Hardly
So,
higher.
yeah.
And forgive me if I call you Richard, okay? Congratulations to your mom and dad, okay? I see they have Anybody else? We heard from, let's see.
We heard from all four buildings.
All four members, okay. Anybody else? Good. Okay. Okay, well, it looks like we're gonna move to 168, the favorite time, like recess, adjournment.
So moved.
Ms. Miller?
Second.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Ms. Miller and second by Ms. Freitas. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same motion carried. Okay. As our policy after adjournment, we